In 2019, the Conservatives unveiled its own Levelling Up scheme. They promised to tackle regional inequalities and make the UK a fairer and safer society to live in if they were voted into government. The scheme aims to tackle the challenges faced by communities that have been left behind in terms of infrastructure, job opportunities, and quality of life. Before we get into the video, let us explore the North-South divide. The North-South divide refers to the economic disparities between southern England and northern England. In the 1970s and 1980s, northern England suffered major deindustrialization. Traditional industries such as coal mining and steel could not compete with foreign producers and were thus forced to close. This created a huge negative multiplier effect and severe unemployment in the north. Average incomes fell steeply, meaning households had a lower material living standard and reduced their consumption. Many were forced into poverty and were reliant on benefits. Consequently, the North suffered from depopulation and deprivation as people looked to find a better life elsewhere. In the South, privatization and deregulation allowed the tertiary sector to boom, helping replace the jobs lost in the secondary sector. In addition, specialization in financial services and large volumes of investment helped London and its surroundings to expand rapidly. The South has continued to gap the North in terms of productivity, wage growth, and average annual income metrics. The North has struggled to grow and was left behind, creating the regional inequalities we see today. The Levelling Up scheme is intended to reduce these inequalities and stimulate economic growth in the North. For the second round of funding, Rishi Sunak announced that 2/3 of all the Levelling Up funding is going to the most deprived parts of our country, which includes many northern regions. What is the vision behind Levelling Up? Through Levelling Up, the government gives local councils extra funding in order to finance investment into the local economy. Local councils can use the money to induce economic growth and improve people's living standards. Already £4.8 billion has been allocated, a further £12 billion has been put into building affordable housing for local people, and £96 billion put towards improving infrastructure. Construction of new housing and infrastructure may create a positive multiplier effect as it creates jobs and raises average incomes and material living standards in the area. More income may lead to more consumption, meaning firms earn higher revenues and are thus incentivized to expand. Therefore, the derived demand for labor will increase, creating further jobs. In the long run, the government will benefit from increased tax revenues as more people are in employment and businesses make more profit. This money can be invested in welfare schemes to reduce inequalities or public services such as healthcare and education. Infrastructure is critical to economic growth. For example, improving transport infrastructure such as railways means faster journeys and fewer delays. This reduces costs for businesses, making them more efficient and likely to generate higher profits. It also improves geographic labor mobility. Subsequently, workers have access to a wider range of job opportunities, reducing unemployment. These workers can also potentially fill labor shortages in other areas. Building infrastructure may see an increase in the output of an economy, which may cause prices to fall. Thus, consumers have more purchasing power and can consume more goods and services, helping to ease the ongoing cost of living crisis. The government money is being given to invest in infrastructure such as transportation, broadband, and housing in less prosperous regions through projects such as the controversial HS2 railway. Economies need good quality infrastructure to facilitate trade and connect supply chains. High-level infrastructure is also essential to tackle factor immobility and fill skills shortages by reducing commute times. Public transport can also be used to improve connectivity and reduce greenhouse gases. The multiplier ratio for infrastructure investments is large as it helps improve productivity and creates thousands of jobs. Many studies indicate that every $100 spent on infrastructure boosts private sector output by $17 on average in the long run. These investments can also help tackle the UK's ongoing productivity puzzle. In the recently published National Infrastructure Strategy paper, the government committed to investing in well-developed transport and digital networks to allow businesses to grow and expand, enabling them to extend supply chains, deepen labour and product markets, collaborate, innovate, and attract inward investment. Interestingly, the Levelling Up scheme intends to further devolution. Devolution is the transfer of power from central government to lower branches of governments. Many economists believe that the UK's main economic challenges, high regional inequality and sluggish growth, are at least in part a result of a highly centralised government system. Devolution seeks to give more powers and funding to mayors and local councils, particularly in the Midlands and Northern England. Many MPs have pushed for a better devolution package as they want the decision-making to be brought closer to the local people instead of being decided by more remote and out-of-touch ministers in London. It is hoped that local authorities can tailor policies and funding better to suit the needs of local people and businesses, thus boosting economic growth. Devolution is also hoped to rebalance the UK economy and reduce the economic dominance of London. Furthermore, the Levelling Up scheme aims to improve education and skills training in areas with historically lower educational attainment levels. This is seen as crucial for equipping individuals with the skills and knowledge needed to participate in a modern economy, ultimately leading to enhanced career prospects and increased productivity. This can improve average incomes and material living standards for many workers. It also helps businesses by having access to a greater pool of skilled labour and greater demand for their products. The government wants to level up skills with an extra £126 million announced in March 2021 to fund work placements and skills trainings for 16 to 24-year-olds in England. In the long term, Levelling Up seeks to improve overall living standards in the UK as well as see better access to public services such as education. By reducing inequalities and improving social mobility, the government is hoping to make society more equitable to all UK citizens. Now we will examine some of the potential shortfalls of levelling up. Since 2019, not much progress has been made on levelling up. Many believe the government funds allocated to the Levelling Up scheme is extremely inadequate. Many areas in England have suffered from years of austerity and underinvestment, and it will take many years before living standards and incomes match those in the south. Alex Norris, the Labour MP for Nottingham North, has criticised the Levelling Up scheme by stating that the government has nicked a tenner from our wallets and expect us to be grateful for getting less than £2 back. For example, following German reunification in 1990, formerly communist East Germany was much poorer and less developed than West Germany. In 1991, GDP per capita in West Germany stood at €22,767, compared to just €7,395 in East Germany. Nevertheless, over the next 30 years, the government spent over €2 trillion to help reduce inequalities in East Germany. However, even in 2019, the large gap still persists, with West Germany having a GDP per capita of €43,449 compared to €30,027 in East Germany. This suggests that the Levelling Up scheme would need vast sums of funding to come to fruition. Large costs involved could make it difficult due to the government's persistent budget deficit and the UK's high levels of government debt. This can lead to projects being delayed or cancelled, resulting in a wastage of resources. From 2010, many local councils have seen their budgets in real terms significantly contract as a result of austerity and more recently high inflation. Funding from the Levelling Up scheme alone would be inadequate to cover the lost funding. This has adversely affected many more deprived northern councils which rely more heavily on government funding as they are less able to raise money through taxation, unlike more affluent southern councils. Many northern councils were forced to close services such as libraries and public transport, lowering the living standards for the local people and worsening regional inequalities. In some councils, cost-cutting measures extended to laying off many administrative workers. This means crucial expertise to carry out the levelling up works may not be available. Lack of administrative workers can also make it harder to apply for government funding to level up. Many have also criticised the process by which funds are allocated. Currently in England, the local government funding system is done by local councils bidding for money. The bidding process contains high administrative costs and favours more affluent local councils who have greater resources at their disposal. In conclusion, the UK Levelling Up scheme represents a bold and ambitious vision to create a fairer, more prosperous society where every region can thrive. By focusing on key objectives, implementing effective strategies, and addressing funding challenges, the government aims to bridge the North-South divide and unlock the true potential of all regions across the UK. However, as with any ambitious programme, the UK Levelling Up scheme has faced its fair share of criticisms and challenges with claims of inadequate funding and lack of action. Thus, it is essential for the government to address these concerns and adapt accordingly. If you found this video informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more engaging content. As always, feel free to share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.